Sponsored by Main Solutions and ProxyFlag.com. This is contest number 2. Go again, you can send your tweets via the hashtag on Twitter and your messages on Facebook. This is for frequent rounds of boxing in the super middleweight division. Introducing to you firstly boxing out of the blue corner, wearing the black shorts trimmed with silver, and the weight is 11 stone 12 pounds. Tonight is his 54th professional appearance, presenting from Southern and his homeland of Italy, Edagha. And once again, boxing out of the red corner, the blue shorts trimmed with white and gold, and the weight is 11 stone 9 pounds 4 ounces. From 3 contests, he has 3 wins, presenting from Stratford the undefeated Bradley. And the star referee in charge of the action for the very finest in the world, Steve Gray, for the 4th British Wrestlers.
Here we have it then. Muhammad Ali showed the way of moving to 4-0, and Bradley Roby looking to do the same in there tonight, but he's not going to have it all his own way.
No, and his pro debut was against Jordan Granham, who's a guy who can fiddle and mess you around as well, so he's not going to, if he doesn't get any sort in the first couple of rounds, Ray, he's not going to lose his composure or anything like that.
Yeah, we spoke about his amateur background before. How difficult is it to transition into the pro game from the amateurs?
I think it's a massive leap. Some fighters have told me previously they didn't find it too much of a leap, then other fighters have said they found it a really hard transition. I sometimes think it can be based on your style. If you've got that real amateur style, then it can be hard to make that change into the pro ranks, as we saw with people like Audley Harrison. But obviously now as we've moved into more away from the point scoring system of just trying to pile up points on single flicking punches, I think a lot of fighters are now making the move into the pro ranks and doing it much more effectively.
Yeah, and Brad's certainly got a nice style for the pro game as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, as we said before, I love tall, rangy fighters. I was not around for Mark Breland's career, but I was a big fan of him in retrospect. It's one of those situations when you watch fighters that you like and you watch the defeats and think they're going to somehow turn it around this time, and it's always not to be. But even someone like Kingsley Akiki, I used to watch quite a lot as well. So I do like the tall and rangy fighters. They just appeal to what I like to see in terms of an aesthetic in boxing.
And you can see already Edagha's backing up against the ropes, isn't he? And, you know, he's trying to make it awkward for Brad, but he's looked good behind that jab early on.
Yeah, he's ducking away, turning his back at him a couple of times as well. So it's just a case of being patient, as you say, staying on the jab. If the opponent's been a bit awkward, not getting drawn into that kind of awkward type of encounter where you end up smothering your own work and kind of it becomes counterproductive for you.
Yeah, and already it's looking to be a little bit of a frustrating night for Brad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's shaping up that way already. After only 2 minutes, it's a good test as well, because if the opponent is really, really awkward for you, it's a good test of your own mettle in terms of your discipline and the mental side of things. It's not always a physical test in there at this point. It can sometimes be a mental one as well.
Yeah, and when you're in with a dog, it is always a mental test, isn't it, really? The way he ducks and dives and holds on and makes it awkward. And it's one of those styles, isn't it? It's like someone that hasn't really been taught how to box correctly behind the jab. It's something that a lot of people haven't faced before.
Yeah, and as you say, sometimes if you've not learned how to box in an orthodox manner, it can be really difficult for your opponent to read you. If you're someone who's been brought up to do 2 jabs, a right hand and then throw a left hook, and have that kind of style we saw from the Brian Hughes gym as well, where they were very, very well-schooled boxers, but sometimes that can make you a bit more easier to read. Whereas we've seen with the Ingle gym, where it's a bit more of an awkward style, a lot of their fighters are really, really difficult to read, and we've seen them have big names come out of that gym, and also people that you see fight on the road who give people like Rhea Kittins.
Yeah, coming to the end of this first round, Brad was just looking for an uppercut a couple of times. It looks like the shot to throw, isn't it? Edagha just ducks his head when he goes on the inside, and he seems to be made for that right uppercut.
Yeah, and Rhea seems to be trying to time that shot, as you say. the last minute of that round was much more effective than for him than the first 2 minutes. So he may have figured things out in there. And if he comes out in the second round, and that's an impressive round with less fiddling around and awkwardness, then it'll be a good sign that he's learned his lessons from that first couple of minutes.
Yeah, and I think he adapted to Edagha's style fairly quickly there. We've seen people struggle for the duration of the fight because of the way he boxes Edagha. But Brad seems to adapt nicely to that, and we'll see how he comes out in the second round and see if he's learnt those lessons from the first round. Remember #VIP Boxing Live on Twitter, comment on all the usual channels as well, and we'll read out as many comments as we can throughout the night. Plenty of talent on show still to come. And in fact, all the names on the bill tonight are people you should look out for in a year, 2, 3, 4 years' time. There's people that are going to be in title contention. Brad's certainly one of them. That was better work from Brad behind the feints as well, just trying to draw something from Edagha.
Yeah, if you can, as you say, if he feints, then he can cause his opponent to react and start to read him a little bit more. So we may see more of that in this particular round, which will be good if that's the case.
Yeah, Luke Evans, his gym mate, just calling for him to try and work that body.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout, as you say. Sometimes you see these big fighters are actually quite adept at throwing body shots as well.
And there is that right uppercut we were talking about earlier. He's certainly looking for it now, Brad.
Yeah, you spotted that one earlier, Luke, and as you say, that might be the punch for him. It's just a stumble into the corner.
Yeah, I think he just slipped on the Toblerone in that corner there, but this is better pressure from Brad. You can see he's thinking about his work now.
Yeah, the Toblerone probably fell out the referee's pockets, and we know the referees like a bit of chocolate between fights to keep themselves in an energetic state.
A little warning for Edagha as well for just dropping his head when he comes on the inside. Steve Gray's been there, done it, hasn't he? He's a referee, he's seen everything.
Yeah, he's a top man, Steve. He's a really good referee as well, and I think he's an underrated judge of a fight. I say that because he always agrees with my scorecard usually, so he's definitely an underrated judge of a fight.
Yeah, much better round this from Brad so far. Still plenty of time to go. But there you've seen it. It's what we talked about earlier. Edagha's so elusive, isn't he, when he has his back to the ropes?
Yeah, as we've just seen him there, he slipped 2 consecutive jabs, and at the same time he just kind of pushed his hands out so that Ray couldn't advance forward on him. It's frustrating for maybe people to watch, but it's something that the fighter has to learn to adapt to, and there he's just landed a couple of body shots, as we mentioned earlier, a right hand to the body followed by the left hook.
Yeah, he's certainly picking his shots a lot better than he did in that opener. Right hand to the body there.
And the body makes sense. If someone's an awkward mover and they've got good head movement, then the body's not going to move. The body's a stationary target. It's going to be there wherever they are. So it's a good thing to target. If you're not having any success to the head, then just drop your shots down to the body. Your opponent will start thinking about defending their body a little bit more, and that's when you can switch the attack up to the head, as we've seen Ray trying to do now.
Yeah, coming towards the end of that second round, Edagha's just getting a warning for holding and using his head. A little clash of heads on the inside there. And, something you get used to seeing when you see Edagha boxing. He's one of these guys, I'm surprised he doesn't get cut more, because he seems to clash heads with everyone that he boxes when he gets on the inside.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. People talk about the angle of people's faces and the way the cheekbones are. Some people are more susceptible to cutting, and then on the upper side of the spectrum you get fighters who just never get cut. Kind of like the difference between Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis in Unbreakable, just two ends of a very big spectrum. But yeah, I've seen fighters who just never get cut no matter what they get hit with.
Yeah, Edagha breathing heavily in that corner, just feeling the pace a little bit, I'm thinking then. If you're in Brad's corner now, what are you telling him? How do you get to someone that's as elusive as Edagha is?
I'd say what we said earlier, maybe aim for the body. Obviously body shots is something that you invest in over the longer course of a fight, but in a fight like this, when you're finding it difficult to punch someone into the head, switch your attack to the body, maybe make a concerted effort to attack their body, then just switch the attacks up, and once you've done that, and try and put your shots through the middle, because as we've seen, the head movement is from side to side, and then when it comes back to the middle, try and crack him with an uppercut.
Yeah, and I think this fight is a prime example of showing the difference between transitioning from the amateurs to the pros as well, isn't it? Because you never get an opponent like this in the amateur game.
No, and in the professional ranks like this, it's a bit of a cheesy phrase, but you need to have in-game management where you can actually think about your performance as it's happening. you're not going to go into a fight like this where you've worked on a game plan in the gym. You're going to go out the first minute of the round. If you've got a good boxing brain, you can read an opponent within the first minute of the round. You can pick up on the little ticks and the little habits and then work on how to exploit them.
Yeah, Edagha's just come out throwing a few more shots in this third round. And it sounds strange to say, doesn't it? But that'll play into Brad's hands a lot more. There'll be a few more openings now with Edagha's throwing shots. Nice left hook to the body.
Yeah, if you've gone from a guy who's not throwing punches and then he suddenly starts opening up, it's either a sign that he's frustrated or maybe he's started to figure you out a little bit as well, because it's a two-way street. These opponents also know how to figure opponents out. They just don't always pull the trigger on it sometimes. So, but he's reasserted himself in this one, Ray. I think, again, off the jab. There's less head movement, or he's maybe reading the head movement a little bit more, and his own guard is tight as well. So there's a lot of positive stuff going on right now.
Yes, it's been a good fight for him to learn from as well, isn't it? Because he's had to catch a lot of the shots. Brad, Edagha's come out attacking in this third round, and Brad, he looked good defensively then as well, something he hasn't had to show in the opening couple.
Yeah, and as you say, his defence has looked solid enough than what we've seen of it, so there's no real causes for concern there when his punches coming in back in his direction, although he just took a bit of a jab in the right hand as we spoke.
Nice uppercut that from Brad against, snapped the head back of Edagha in the corner.
Yeah, that was his best work for the fight so far, the right uppercut, and then he got the left hook in as well before his opponent moved off. Again, the action got a little bit messy there. Referees telling him not to hold, and deducting a point as well. He's obviously seen enough.
Yeah, and rightly so, I think, especially in this third round. He's been holding a lot more than he has done previously. And that's a sign that opening up hasn't worked for Edagha. I've seen him a few times. Sometimes it shocks his opponent a bit and gives him a bit of respite, but Brad's dealt with that really well.
Yeah, he's dealt with it well. He was winning the round. He's got a -1 in the deduction column as well, so he's going to effectively, when the scores are tallied up, it'll be a 10-8 round for him. So yeah, it's been a really successful third round for Raya.
We're into the last minute of this third round, scheduled for 4, of course. Speaking to Brad as well, he wants to step up in the round as well. He wants to be in the 6th round next time or the time after, keep him busy, and he certainly looks capable of that, doesn't he, based on this performance and his previous 3.
Yeah, I've rarely met fighters who want to do 4 rounds. They just don't like it. It's something that you have to do in order to make that movement into the pro ranks. A few years ago, 6 2-minute rounds used to be a popular thing, and fighters hated that as well. They wanted either 6 threes or nothing at all. So, yeah, it can be a funny thing for fighters doing the 4-round distance. They just see it as a stepping stone and a building block to the 6 threes and 8 threes, and then the 10 and 12 rounders.
Yeah, another round in the bank, and it looks like. It looks like it's going to take something really dramatic now for the tide to change in this fight, well, especially with the point deduction.
Yeah, and Reed's just going to come out and do more of the same in the 4th round. There's no point in taking any real risk. It's with someone who's awkward. They've tangled up a couple of times, and you don't want a clash of heads or anything like that to pop up. So he'll just come out in this round, cool, calm and collected, fighting off his jab, and just pile up 1 more round's worth of points in order to win the fight.
Yeah, it's been another good learning fight for him as well in the pro game. He's not had an easy introduction, like you said before, Jordan Granham's he's a tough test for your debut as well.
Yeah, Granham was a really awkward fighter, so that debut performance, he'll have seen pretty much a lifetime's worth of awkwardness from Granham in that fight. So this one probably seems like a walk in the park in comparison, but he's been made to think a couple of times, and Reed's been made to work as well.
Yeah, and he's just come out for this round, southpaw, just changing it up a little bit. I've seen him work on the pads in the gym in the southpaw stance, and it's good to see that he's putting that into action, and he feels comfortable enough to do that in there. Yeah, and when you're in with such a tricky opponent like Edagha, it's always good to mix things up as much as you can. Yeah,
he may have come out for the last round, as you say. He's worked on fighting as a southpaw in the gym. He knows he's not at risk of losing this fight, so he may have come out and thought, I'm going to experiment in this round and fight as a southpaw and see how it goes. I mean, we forget Tyson Fury did it for the entire fight against Rogan early in his career, and kind of just came out and boxed southpaw for the entire fight, and it works for him. Some fighters can do it and some fighters can't.
Yeah, Ray just caught him with a shot there as he came in, Edagha. This is more like the Edagha we're used to seeing on the back foot, isn't it? And then coming in close to hold.
Yeah, he swung a couple of shots there, but he doesn't like what he's seeing at the moment. Unless you say Ray showing that he can fight equally adeptly in both stances.
That's always the danger, isn't it, though? Those wild pot shots that Edagha threw, a left hook there and a right hook that landed then.
Yeah, it's a really good right hook, that, and it just kind of bounced off Ray's forehead. If it was on his chin, it may have been giving him a lot more to think of.
Yeah, it seemed to spark Ray into life a little bit, though. He landed a couple of good shots there with his own right hand, finishing that combination off.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he got him back on it. If there was any worry of him drifting, a few of those shots sailing past his chin and one of them bouncing off his forehead may have given him a chance to reassert himself. Back when I used to train, I'm left-handed, so I could fight in the southpaw, and I was equally bad in the orthodox stance as well. So I was completely unadept in both stances.
A little bit of a rugby tackle from Edagha as you're talking then. One of the more unorthodox moves that you see in a boxing ring.
Yeah, we've seen rugby tackles. We've seen Nassim Hamed just slamming people off the canvas as well. So it's just one of those things. It's usually a sign of frustration as well.
Yeah, more importantly, it bought Edagha a few seconds there. Brad landed a nice straight left hand there. He's gone back to orthodox now for the final minute of the round. You can see Brad's getting frustrated in there a little bit as well, isn't he? He's not had the chance to show the skills that he's got tonight.
Yeah, it'll be frustrating for him, especially particularly this final round where nothing. He came out as a southpaw and was effective, but now it's just been a tough bit of a grind this round for him. More so than his opponent, because his opponent knows he's just going to get through this round and get back on the road again. Whereas, as you say, Ray would have been hoping to show his fans a lot more tonight.
Yeah, Gumshield just coming out of Edagha's mouth there, buying himself a few seconds breather. 30 seconds to go in this final round, and the finish line is certainly in sight for him. There's no doubt who's been in charge throughout this contest, though.
Yeah, as you say, it's going to be a clear win for Ray, especially with the point deduction. He'll be frustrated, but he'll go into the next fight. He's got an entire year to work with as well, and he knows that there's going to be fights on the horizon where he can come out and show what he can really do.
Yeah, job done as far as Bradley Ray's concerned. And like I said about Ali, getting back in after that Christmas break, it's always good to get the rounds in the bank.
Yeah, I thought he won 40 points to 35 because of the point deduction, and I'd be surprised if Steve Gray had it any different. He was effective without being dominant throughout that fight.
Yeah, and I know his gym mates know him as 40-36 man. They'll have to change that up a bit now with that point deduction. Wait for referee Steve Gray to top the scorecard, but there's no doubt about who's got that decision. Another man from the VIP stable moving to 4-0 tonight. Yeah, a lot of people on the stream complimenting Brad on that performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 hard-ball rounds of boxing action, star referee Steve Gray has adjudged this particular contest 40 points to 35 points, excuse me, for your winner, heading from Stratford, Bradley Ray. Your appreciation, please, for Victor.
There we have it then, and just as we thought, every round for Brad. And that's the right scorecard, isn't it? There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he lost. The opponent lost 4 rounds. He had a point deduction as well, so we can't complain about that. And it was awkward. He was infringing on the rules a couple of times, so he was told by the referee. And the referee hasn't got any fixed amount of times that he has to warn a fighter before he can take a point. The rules say it's strictly at the referee's discretion, and that's what he's decided to do.
Yeah, a bit strange, really. The Hatton's Gym had 2 guys boxing tonight who were in the ring at the same time, and Conor Walker just got 3rd round stoppage. So, no, Hatton's Gym's buzzing at the moment, and they'll both be happy with that.
Yeah, he's really doing well with the fighters at the moment at the Hatton Gym.
Yeah, and Brad's ringside now with John Evans. Grab a few words with Brad.
from that, you know, I feel like I'm going to be better over the rounds, and from my first 3 fights as well, I feel like I'm going to be better when I get them extra rounds out, so looking forward to that.
Well, how do you work out your progress so far? You know, you've been active in the first 6 months, haven't you? It's your 4th fight. Are you pleased how it's gone?
Yeah, really happy. You know, I just want to stay busy. Like, I'm only just turned 21, so I'm a baby really, but yeah, looking forward to the future, definitely.
You had a real amateur style when you first turned over, but now you can see you're slowly becoming more and more professional, sitting down a bit. Obviously didn't get a chance to unload fully on that guy tonight, but the power seems to be coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Not quite there yet, but it's coming. But yeah, like I said, when I get over the round, I feel like I'm going to be a lot better. And also, you know, when I'm in them 50-50 fights with someone who's, you know, coming to have a go, going to try and knock me out, I'm looking forward to that. And I think that's when I'll show how good I really am.
Good. Well, there you go. Bradley Ray, still unbeaten. Back up to Luke.